what is continued on that probably won't change?
Yeah. So I would say hard work, right?
Yeah.
It's a hardworking industry. We do what we say we're going to do. I mean, that's kind of our motto is that if we come out and say that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. And even if that makes us have to make it right and go out of our way to do things, that's what we've always done. And so long as I'm around, we'll always continue to do that.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Landscaper's Guide podcast. Right now, I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan with Jeremy Miller, the owner of Miller Landscape, who in 2026 is celebrating 60 years in business. We just finished doing a video shoot here ahead of the SIMA Symposium. How was the video shoot?
It was great. It was a lot of fun, actually.
You have a great team. So I got to interview, we did some videos into the teleprompter for your sales. We did a design process, commercial management, and then an impromptu employee interview. And you were outside, and I don't know if you know this, but everyone kind of said the same thing. So Robert and I were thinking, that means it's true. So they were talking about the family aspect at the company, and that was something that you wanted when we made your recruiting video intro that you mentioned. So I was curious, what does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, I think it means, first of all, it starts off as we're a family business. We were started by family members. We have a lot of family members that work with us. So that's the true part of it. But we also refer to our teammates as family members, our employees, some of the ones that you interviewed. You know, we consider each other family. I've seen a lot of these people's kids grow up and know a ton of their spouses and other people. So, I mean, I know a lot of people kind of talk about that jokingly, but I believe here it really is true. I mean, we really consider ourselves a family.
I think it's true. I mean, you have people that have worked here for ranging from 5 to 23 years that came today. Yeah. So I'm curious, so did you tell us, like, what is the Miller Landscape history?
Yeah. So, you know, people always ask me, so when did you start working or what was your first job? I said, well, when we were old enough to hold a shovel, that's when we started working, right?
And how old is that?
So that would probably have been realistically, coming around on job sites as a young boy at 8 or 10 years old. Yeah, but honestly, working around the yard, 11 or 12, and then, out in the crews in the fields at probably 14 or 15, so.
That's amazing. So you grew up. What are all the different roles that you had in the company?
So interesting. So my background was very strong in irrigation. So I was an irrigation technician. I grew our irrigation service department. And I think part of that was, being part of a family business, you want to kind of find your own niche. And I saw that irrigation was something I could kind of grow on my own. And I did grow that and developed it into what would be like almost a standalone service business. But then I started realizing that there's so much more to this business if I got myself, spread out a little bit more. And that's when I got into sales and supporting landscape designers and just doing whatever needed to be done around the business. So, but ultimately it came from moving from the irrigation world to selling, to general managing, to continuing to build the team like you saw today.
Did you have any other siblings or anybody else working?
I did. We've had multiple siblings. I still have 2 siblings working in the business right now. So I have 2 younger brothers that are actually twins that work, and one of them is our facility manager, and one of them is our fleet manager. So that works out very well. I think it's one of the things that's important in a family business is at some point in time, everybody does kind of have to find their role because everybody can't do the same thing traditionally. So, and we've done a reasonable job of working through that. Obviously, like any family business, there can be some turbulent bumps, but I think we've gotten to a pretty good spot. So.
What is continued on that probably won't change?
Yeah. So I would say hard work, right?
Yeah.
It's a hardworking industry. Truth and honesty. We take care of our customers. We do what we say we're going to do. That doesn't change whether we had 5 people working for us or we have 100 people working for us now. We do what we say we're going to do. I mean, that's kind of our motto is that if we come out and say that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. And even if that makes us have to make it right and go out of our way to do things, that's what we've always done. And as long as I'm around, we'll always continue to do that. So.
What's changed? So I interviewed some of your people, and especially some of the people who have been here for a long time, said that you've rolled out traction, you've rolled out EOS, and through that, you've actually created the core values, and that seemed to maybe even weed some people out. So what can you tell me about?
Yeah. So even
what's changed?
Yeah. So traction and EOS is one of the biggest changes that we've made, but that's actually more recently. So backing up a little bit prior to that, one of the biggest changes we made was establishing roles. You got to meet sales reps today and you got to meet directors of my departments. And, when we were smaller, we all just kind of jack of all trades. We all did what we were going to do. So as we develop.
And how many people work at the company now?
So we'll peak out a little over 100, either at a snow event or in the middle of summer. And we have about 35 full-time salaried employees. So,
okay, yeah. So when it was smaller, what do you mean? Like how many people worked here?
So, less than 20, I can remember. So.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So you've really grown it quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, quite a bit since, yes, it's grown quite a bit over the years. So, and I tell this story sometimes. We kind of stayed stagnant. Whatever happened really early on, I was too young to know. But as I started gaining understanding of the business and the finances, more importantly, I noticed I'm like, we're doing okay, but we're kind of plateaued at this revenue that we really haven't gotten past. And I could start to see very quickly as more people wanted to become involved in the business. We had to grow the business in order to not only make sure everyone that was already working for us had a good career, but we can continue to bring that on. And that's where things have probably really changed when we, brought on some sales reps and we started aggressively looking at things and putting systems and procedures in place. And then that led us to where we got to what I thought was a really good spot. But it still wasn't right. We were still having some problems with conflict, and that's where traction in EOS has really, really helped us. And we're in over 2 years right now, and I really kind of feel like we're hitting our sweet spot with that.
Well, so it's interesting that you say that it has helped with conflict. I found that some people find that EOS has a lot of conflict
100%.
because it requires you to keep a scorecard of how things are going, and looking at that with people, it requires you to have meetings where you're identifying, discussing, and solving issues. Have you found anyone that was maybe repulsed by that and by traction?
100%, yeah. And quite frankly, our leadership team has changed and evolved over the couple of years to get it dialed into where everyone was on the same page, and most importantly, those people could handle and give constructive professional pushback if needed. So,
yeah.
But yes, it definitely brought some conflict out. And I think part of that comes from trying to get yourself into an environment where you can truly be transparent. Before traction, I was like, oh yeah, we're transparent. But we really weren't. And we didn't even realize that we weren't as transparent until you get into the depths of what's happening and what's problems. And then again, being in a family business, there's a lot of benefits to being in a family business, but there can be some negatives too when it comes to holding each other accountable and who's acting in what role.
Right.
And that really helped in our business. It helped us figure that out.
Well, I think that makes sense because having that role clarity makes it easier to talk about the role and the scorecard number. Whereas if you don't have those things, when there's an issue, then it does maybe feel more personal.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how I feel about traction, at least. But I've had people come through my organization. Some people, as traction says, get it, want it, have the capacity for it, and some people really don't. Yep. That's a challenge as a leader because sometimes those are really good people though, or they're really good at a certain task, but they can't really operate within accountability.
Correct. And what's interesting about that is we talked early on, even when I was trying to figure it out, that hey, we would, if we invited people to potentially participate in the leadership team, and we said it's not mandatory, and that doesn't mean you don't have a place here, and we're going to kind of figure this out as we go, who really is a leader and who wants to put in the extra effort. And we did. We started with a very large leadership team and have changed it 2 or 3 times to now we're down to 4 people on the leadership team, and it feels right now. We're playing the roles the right way. We're all able to have those.
So even with a 100-person staff during peak seasons, your leadership team has 4 people.
That's correct.
Including you?
4 others, so 5 including
4
myself.
others, so
yes.
5 including you.
Yes.
What numbers are in your scorecard that the whole company sees?
So we have number of leads per week. We have customer complaints. We have Google reviews. We have receivables over 60 days.
You have Google reviews in there?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you had that?
That's pretty new. I think we put that in at the end of last fall. So, and we do a lot as a company to try to promote Google reviews, and that's when it came to the leadership team. It's like, well, we should be monitoring this as a scorecard item also. So
I agree. So I'm really glad that you have that. Why do you find it important?
What I found is that in today's buying market, that's one of the first things that people go look to is Google reviews. And maybe that was a little past where I started from, or Google reviews weren't as important, but now it's just critical that most of my clients and people that may come work for us, and even vendors, are looking at those reviews and saying, hey, is this a reputable company I want to deal with? Are they going to pay their bills? Are they going to do what they say they're going to do? So it's been pretty powerful.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because many companies are like, well, we've been in business for 60 years and we didn't have Google reviews when we started and we don't need them now.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, you do. You really do.
You really do, yeah.
So what else has changed, I guess, that you're focusing on? So as we head into the 60th year, what's some of your vision for the company and where you're heading?
Continued growth. We're still in growth mode right now. And again, we have a lot of key people on staff, and that's part of that goal, is to say, hey, let's keep growing this thing and getting it to where we want it to be. Scalability is very important to me. Time, going back to that family thing, like to me, my time is probably even more important than maybe even financial incentives. So I like
for you personally.
I think for me personally and for a lot of my team members too, but I'll only speak for me personally because I don't want to put those words in their mouth, that as I've gotten to where I'm at in life, my time is more valuable to me than a dollar bill or a paycheck or whatever that is. And not that money's not important, because it is, but I found that that's kind of that balance that we're taking. And as we progress forward, all the people that you interviewed today, other people on staff, that's just as important to them too. And as they grow and they find they want to be able to a place where they don't have to work 6 days, 12 hours a day like we used to do back in the olden days, right? Like, time is more important, and being able to schedule your time and spend time with your other family that's not your Miller Landscape family, that's important too, right? So, so my vision is to continue to grow, to continue to.
Well, sorry to interrupt.
No,
you,
you're
but
fine.
That's a key thing, because some landscape companies say we're family at work, but then they expect you there 12, 14 hours a day, right? Don't you see that in the industry?
100%. 100%.
And so
we were that way for a while.
You're saying that, so there was a period where you were like that.
I mean, I think maybe not to the extreme that I've seen in the industry, but there was certainly a point in time when we thought the best thing you could do is just put more hours in, work harder, work longer, and that will fix that. And yeah, this is just part of the industry. Like, you talk to landscapers all over the country, and there's a lot of people, they're just like, hey, this is what we do. This is our time of year. We got to get it while the getting's good. I'm sure you've heard all those phrases, and it's important, but it's also just as important to be able to say, hey, we can be just as busy and do just as much revenue and not work those crazy hours and still give people time with family. And it's an interesting mix, but to me, it's important.
It is, and it's also hard though, because of the weather, because when there are weather events or it's super rainy and you can't work, then you do need to make hay when the sun is shining.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's hard. I'm just acknowledging, but the point that you value it and that's part of your vision moving forward, I think, is interesting.
Well, and again, I think, there's a lot of great places to work, right? And I have to keep being an attractive place to keep my employees that are here and to attract new ones. And that's what they talk about, right? When you're getting ready to interview and talk to somebody, hey, what's it really like? This is what it says on the website, but what's it really like when you get in there? And I hope that what you heard from my employees today is the same thing that they're telling everybody, and I feel pretty confident that it is. So,
well, like I said, I think so, because they all said very similar things.
Good.
So where else are you heading? So you're wanting to scale,
yes,
and you're wanting to have this family, this time component. Yeah. That's interesting. I have a business coach, Jason Swank, he's a digital agency coach, and he helps people create a time goal every year. So a lot of people, you get into planning your goals and you're like, oh, I want this revenue and this profit and this many leads. And I think the time component is really important, because once it's gone, you can't get it back.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. I can go get more leads, right? I can go get more trees. I can go buy more loaders, but I can't get more time to go do any of that stuff. So,
what would you like to spend your time doing?
I like to travel. I like to spend time with my immediate family. And, kind of an interesting point, growing up from where I grew up compared to the way that I grew up with my kids, it was different. Like, my dad didn't get to spend as much time with me as I got to spend with my kids. And I'm not complaining about that. I think that was part of the generational, it was part of our industry. Yeah. But I do like to look at that and say, hey, I can do things differently and still get the same, if not better, results.
Well, I think this is the pain of every man. Is this feeling of oh, I didn't spend enough time with my kids. Because I was just talking with my dad, and he's like, oh, I wish I had done more. And I'm like, but Dad, did you spend more time with me than your dad spent with you? And he's like, oh my gosh, so much more. Because he's like, I'm doing all these things with my kids. And I'm like, yes. I think that's just kind of life.
It is.
Right. And also, look, we're making a video, and we've met on Zoom. Yep. All this stuff that we get to do now just wasn't available for our dads. I don't think
it really
so.
wasn't. Yeah. So it is interesting. And again, I think I can speak for you. That doesn't mean it was bad. It's just the way it was, right?
No,
it's just, but that also doesn't mean we can't evolve and change things and make them differently. Totally. So, one of the examples I'll give you is, I would have a tough time getting my dad to show up to my sporting events. I coached both my boys' baseball teams at the same time, just because that was really important to me. And he looked at me and said, "I'm glad that you're doing that." That's, so it was just an interesting evolution. And I think the industry as a whole is also evolving. Maybe not as fast as other industries, and in certain segments might not be, but I talk to a lot of people who have this kind of same conversation and are starting to think the same things. Now, I also talk to a lot of people who are struggling to try to find a way to get out of that day-to-day grind where they're just grinding out 12, 13 hours a day, but I see a shift coming, so.
Do you have a vision traction organizer?
We do.
What's on it for your 10-year vision? Or
10-year vision is, so we're going to be a $20 million company with possible second location, and then a lot of filled-in positions. I think, I'm going off memory here, Jack. So I think that was 2 more sales reps, 2 more account managers, possible more project managers, channel partners, and service partners to help us grow that revenue. But that's the ultimate goal.
20 million?
20 million is our 10-year plan.
Where are you now?
Just under 7.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think it's doable. It's aggressive, but doable. And the team of people that you met here, they think it's doable, so that's probably even more important.
I'm curious, did they ever have a bigger vision of what the company could be than what you did?
No, they actually struggled with the goals that we laid out.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh,
yes. They had a hard time. They had a hard time even visualizing the 3-year goal until we worked through the process a few times and went through that. And I don't know if maybe you remember your first couple traction or EOS meetings, but I think the term they used was the big, hairy, audacious goal or something along those lines. And I had a hard time getting my head wrapped around it, but I also was more confident in it. And then they've helped me. We've helped each other support how that's possible. And it can be tough to picture what that looks like. So
I have a number of people who've worked with me for over 5 years, and I was going through this vision conversation with them, and I was like, curious, how big do you think the company could be someday? Yeah. And my number was actually where we're at now. Okay. And their number was 5 times that number. Wow. And so I was blown away. I had some of the opposite reaction from my people, like, oh yeah, we could be 10 million, 15 million. Yeah. And I think we were around like 1.5 at the time. Right. So that was just an interesting experience. But then sometimes I roll out big ideas and people are like, well, how am I going to do all of this? And I'm like, well, we're going to hire more people. And they're like, sometimes I forget to say the quiet part out loud, like, and we're going to do, we're going to hire other people or whatever it is to support the vision.
Yes.
So I've had both experiences where sometimes people are like, Jack, you're thinking too small. Yeah. Or sometimes they're like, are you crazy? How am I going to do all of this?
Well, and another interesting story about that is it took us a while to get into that where, hey, every decision should be leading towards that. I hear that around the office now. I know we were talking about taking on a potential job that was a little bit out of our area. And I can remember someone saying, well, hey, will that decision affect our 10-year goal positively or negatively? And I thought to myself, wow, this is really starting to set in and people are really starting to make decisions off that.
And so how did they decide on that?
We decided that it would be worthwhile chasing it because it's a little bit out of our comfort zone, but there's no way we're ever going to get to that 10-year goal without getting a little out of our comfort zone.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. And I was happy with it because it wasn't me saying it, it was somebody else saying it, and it helped remind me. And going through that, being transparent and saying, hey, I need to be held just as accountable as you guys do, so let's work on this together. So it's been fun. It's been interesting and it's been challenging, certainly, but it's a great process. So
good.
Yeah. How many landscapers are you working with? Roughly. I know that can't be an exact number.
I work with around 150.
150?
That varies. Some of them are like legacy clients where we're just like hosting and maintaining their website. And then some clients are like you where we're in the first year or 2 years of working together and we're building a lot. And then one of my clients, I just launched his 3rd website. We helped him sell his first company. He moved across the country, opened another landscape company, and now he has he loves golf and he designs golf course. So that was his 3rd business. So right now it's interesting, like I've been in business 16 years and clients that I've had for 10, 12 years are coming back around and saying, hey, we're doing this new thing, or we need to do this. It's kind of like my landscape clients in some ways where they're like, hey, we did a backyard for somebody 5 years ago and now we're doing their front yard. Absolutely. And so I'm having that experience, or they're innovating or they're acquiring companies or those types of things.
Yeah. Modernizing, doing video shoots, all that good stuff, right? Yeah. What's your average what's your average time with a client? So like when you get someone in your funnel, do they stay with you for a year, 3 years, 5 years?
As far as lifetime value, 4.5 years.
4.5 is about, yep.
4.5 years, but I also have some clients who have worked with me for 10. That's also only 8 of the 16 years have been solely focused on landscape. The first 8 were like maybe 30% was landscape and home service, and that kept growing and growing. And then about 8 years ago, we're like, we're going all in on landscape.
Yeah. Do you ever regret that decision?
No.
Good.
I don't, actually. I continually find new joy in it. Yeah. And one of the things I just created was Green Industry 101, and it's an online course at my company where people can go through training to learn what is a retail garden center and how is it different from a plant nursery. What is wholesale versus retail? Some of the like basic lingo that you might take for granted, I've just found that I bring in, we call them ramblers, the people who work here. And they have a lot of different technical skills. Some of them, actually 2 of my account coordinators worked at landscape companies, but then some people don't. So I created a course all about the landscape industry. And so I'm continually finding ways to train people faster. And if I wasn't specialized in the landscape industry, I'd have so many different things I'd have to try and teach them, and it would be all over the place.
Would you say I've heard a lot of people say this, and you've worked in other industries. Would you say it's fair that most landscapers are pretty upbeat, friendly people and good down-to-earth people? And I know that's a very broad question, but I've heard that over and over and over again.
So I was recently cleaning out my journals. So I use Moleskine journals, and I have over 20 of them. And I need to just throw them out because my wife's like, no one's going to want to deal with this, you know, if you pieced out someday. And I'm like, I guess you're right. I guess I don't need them. So I've been kind of going through them and taking pictures of things that were important. Most of them are like my daily agenda, and there's like nothing interesting. But one of the things I was writing about in 2017 was that I wanted to work with people who love what they do, who want to grow their business, and who get results from what I do. And so at that time, I had a lot of clients who maybe didn't love their business. And honestly, some of them didn't get great results from what I do. But landscapers generally, they get to work outside with plants and they build things. And they're just easy to work with.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Down to earth is what I've heard a lot.
Down to earth,
are down to earth
for sure.
people. Yeah, salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth people, for sure. The landscape industry, I mean, it's pretty vast. I mean, we have clients. Right now, we're at the Snow and Ice Management Symposium, and I'm going to be in Texas and Arizona. So I have clients all over the country, and the plants they grow, does it freeze or not, is kind of like a big deciding thing. Because if it doesn't freeze, you're probably not doing snow, you're not doing sprinkler blowouts. So there's all this. To me, there's so much to continue to learn and then adapt what we do regionally.
Yeah, well, and then obviously the industry is constantly evolving. I mean, you look at what you guys do, the technology and the modernization that you're bringing, and then we talk about AI and measuring tools. I think there's a class coming up at the seminar tomorrow about AI in the snow world. So I think from my perspective, that's one of the things I like about this industry is there's so many different avenues, you know, whether you're in maintenance or project, and you're building something beautiful, right? Would you rather come in and put in a waterfall and a patio or put somebody's roof shingles on? That's what I always say. It's like some other industry's got to be tough to sell because we get to sell this beautiful end product.
Well, and that's why I enjoy running a marketing company for it, because we get to build websites, and the photos are. Now, not everyone has great photos, but generally what they're building looks awesome.
Yeah, well, even if it's not a great photo, the content's great, and then you get a great photo and it's even better. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Cool. Well, Jeremy, I'm excited to interview you on the show when you've broken $20 million.
Yes.
Right? That'll be fun.
Let's
count on it. Thanks for coming and doing video with us.
My pleasure.
It's been fun.
It has been fun. Thanks for the experience. I appreciate it.
Cool, Jeremy.
Awesome.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Well, we had a blast interviewing Jeremy Miller from Miller Landscape, and he runs it. Can you believe that? 60 years next year is an incredible accomplishment. So congratulations, Jeremy. And hey, I love working with family-owned landscape companies around the country. So if you're listening and you run a family-owned landscape company and you're looking to grow your sales, but you're not really sure if your sales process is dialed in, if your marketing is working for you, reach out to us for a 15-minute marketing brainstorm call. We'll talk with you about who is your hell yes customer and how has that changed over the last 5 years or 60 years, and what do you want in the future? And we'll give you ideas about which marketing will help you get more of those leads finding you online. So go ahead and book your call at landscapersguide.com/brainstorm and see our show notes for a link to that. And I'll look forward to talking with you soon.